Today, we're diving into a pretty radical new framework for figuring out what's real. Now, this isn't some abstract philosophy. It's designed to be a razor-sharp tool, an operating standard. It's called HAOS, and to really get it, we have to start with a huge fundamental question. So let's just jump right in with that. How would you actually test if something is real? I don't mean in a late-night dorm room chat sense, I mean operationally. If you had to build a system, a filter, to separate reality from everything else, what would its one core rule be? The source material for this whole idea gives us a little poetic hint right at the beginning. To exist is to remain coherent when touched. That idea, that reality, has to do with interaction and stability. That is the absolute heart of everything we're about to unpack. Okay, so the system is called HAOS. It stands for Harmonic Address Operating System. But the name isn't the important part. What's important is that it's designed to be minimal, locked down. It's not trying to explain the universe. Its goal is to do one single thing perfectly. And this is that one thing. This is the only question HAOS cares about. It doesn't ask if something has meaning or value or a higher purpose. It's just a simple, brutal pass-fail test. Can you poke this thing, and does it hold together? So how does it run that test? Well, this is the elegant part. The entire system, the whole shebang, is built on a single powerful foundation. Not a big, long list of rules and exceptions. Just one compound axiom that defines everything. And there it is. That one sentence is the entire bedrock of the system. Seriously, every concept we're about to go through is pulled directly from these few words. So let's break down what they actually mean. First up, coherence. Now, this isn't about being neat and tidy. It's purely operational. It just means, can you still read the system? Can you interact with it in a way that makes sense? The second it dissolves into unreadable, unrecognizable noise, then for HAOS, it has temporarily stopped being real. Next, interaction and constraint. And this is where HAOS kind of flips our usual thinking on its head. It says that things, objects, just sitting there in a void, they don't have any reality status. Reality is the interaction itself. And the limits, the constraints, the rules of the game are what give it structure. The rules are actually more fundamental than the players. And this right here, this is the part that really bends your brain. Coherence can be lost and recovered. What this means is that for something to qualify as real, it can't be perfect. It can't be timeless or unbreakable. It absolutely must be capable of failing and then being repaired. Under this system, permanence is suspicious. Recoverability, that's the true test of what's real. Okay, so once you accept that one rule, you can actually start deriving whole concepts about the world without adding any new beliefs. It's pretty wild. Let's see how this single axiom starts to build a whole new picture of reality. The consequences just start spilling out immediately. First, failure is mandatory. That means any theory or ideology, any system that claims I am the final truth, is, by this definition, not real. Second, the true test of anything isn't how perfect it is, but how well it recovers from a punch. And third, what's real is defined by the limits, not by the stuff bouncing around inside them. And this is just a brilliant example of the power of this single rule. Check out its definition of intelligence. It's got nothing to do with knowing facts or solving puzzles in a vacuum. Intelligence is simply the efficiency of recovery. The smartest systems don't dodge every bullet. They just get back up faster and cheaper when they get hit. They fail better. And the framework does the same exact thing for the concept of life. It's not defined by biology or chemistry, but by its function. Life is just any system that actively spends energy to maintain its own ability to recover. And death, well, it's not some big mystery. It's just the point where coherence is lost and can't be put back together again. So, okay, the framework seems to handle physical systems pretty well. But what about the more abstract stuff? The big ideas. Let's see how HAOS takes on concepts like truth and meaning, again, using nothing but that one core rule. This is such a radical redefinition. HAOS says truth isn't about being perfectly accurate or matching some ideal form. A claim is only true if it's still useful after it's been stressed and damaged. If your brilliant idea only works in the safety of a lab, it's not true enough to be considered real out in the world. And that same tough operational logic gets applied to meaning. Meaning isn't some value you just decide on. It's a survival tool. It's whatever guides a system to act in a way that helps it recover its coherence. The distinction here is just brutal. True meaning is what actually helps you survive. False meaning is what feels really good right before everything collapses. All right, now this is probably the most important part of this whole explainer. The people who created this framework are incredibly clear that HAOS is a very specific tool with very strict boundaries. It is not, and I repeat, not a worldview. Here's what it's for. Notice how these are all about diagnosis. It's a tool for auditing systems, for stress testing an idea, for finding the weak points in a story or in an AI model. Its job is to find what's brittle. And here's what it must never, ever be used for. The second you try to build an identity or an ideology or some new belief system out of HAOS, you're misusing it. It's a filter. It's a scanner. It's not a foundation for a new church. And this table just beautifully illustrates the framework's discipline. It explicitly tells you its non-goals. It is forbidden from explaining cautiousness, from assigning value, from making grand claims about the universe. Once it determines if something is recoverable, it has to stop. Its job is done. So we end up right where HAOS forces us to look, not at perfect, shiny ideals, but at resilience. If this framework has it right, and truth is defined by whatever survives being broken, it leaves us all with a pretty stark question, doesn't it? What are we building in our own lives, in our societies, in our technology that is actually true enough to last?